Hey everyone, it's Jonathan, and it's only been a short month since it's February, but I'm already changing my release schedule plans, and I wanted to let you know what's coming. And just to get this out of the way, Every Version Ever comes back tomorrow, and the Disney Movie Marathon comes back on Monday, just in case you were worried. So to begin, I have decided that not everything will release on Mondays like I'd originally planned. Every Version Ever, as you might guess from the fact that it returns tomorrow, will now release on Wednesdays. I decided that for my own scheduling purposes, it's just going to be easier for me if I don't end up with a situation where I could potentially have multiple new episodes all release on the same day, even if it's across different shows, so I decided Every Version Ever will now get a Wednesday release. And like I said, the Disney Movie Marathon will return on Monday, and eventually I'm planning to have that alternate weeks with iHeart Animation when that show finally premieres. Right now I'm thinking that's maybe going to be in April, but no promises yet. I'm still trying to bank episodes as I'm planning to release a bunch of episodes per week when the show does premiere, so I don't want to solidly set a premiere date yet. But either way, after iHeart Animation is out and I've gone through the big launch, once the show finally settles into an every other week routine like the other shows, I will probably have it alternate weeks with the Disney Movie Marathon, unless we're doing a new animated Disney film, in which case, once I catch iHeart Animation up to the Disney Movie Marathon, those episodes will release simultaneously on both shows. Which brings me to iHeart Movies. As you know, if you're a longtime listener, the episodes on iHeart Movies are very frequently also episodes of other shows, which, obviously, the other shows spun out of iHeart Movies. But as such, going forward, I've decided that anytime a new episode of one of the spin-off podcasts is also going to be an episode of iHeart Movies, they are going to get a simultaneous release on both podcasts, no matter what day it's on. So even though I've been doing new episodes on Mondays this month, once we get into new episodes of Every Version Ever, those will simultaneously premiere on iHeart Movies on Wednesday. I originally wanted them to premiere on Every Version Ever first, and then come to iHeart Movies on Monday like a week later, but it's just going to be easier for me to keep track of this way. My life is busy enough outside of podcasting that anything I can do to simplify all this for myself, I'm gonna do. The only exception to this rule will be for Disney and Every Version Ever content that I do before they come up on their respective podcasts, like the main canon content on the Disney Movie Marathon before I'm able to catch up to where I am on iHeart Movies, and anytime I cover a movie on the main podcast that later gets incorporated into Every Version Ever. For example, the next movie in the Disney canon for me to cover is Peter Pan, and the first batch of episodes out this year on the Disney Movie Marathon podcast will be mostly re-releases from the main podcast covering the war era, which starts over a decade before Peter Pan, so we have quite a few movies to get through before we catch up to Peter Pan. Plus, there will probably be new Disney movies and TV shows that I'll want to cover on the podcast as well, which will extend the re-release time frame even further, and I don't want to put off covering the chronological Disney canon until I get caught up on the new podcast, so I'm not going to wait. Later this year, I will be covering Peter Pan with my friend and fellow podcaster Stanford Clark, and hopefully also eventually the new live-action remake, if it finally comes to Disney+. It seems like they've been teasing that forever. And those episodes will hit the main podcast first whenever we get them recorded. Then they'll eventually get to the Disney Movie Marathon podcast whenever I finally catch up, and they'll also eventually go to Every Version Ever at some point because I am planning a Peter Pan series, but that's probably not going to be this year. We will see what happens. So that brings me back to the main podcast. I've been doing a Monday release schedule all through February, but since the Disney Movie Marathon is coming to Mondays and eventually iHeart Animation, I'm going to move iHeart Movies up one day to Sundays. However, that's only if the episode is one that is not going to be on any other podcast. If the episode is also going to be an episode of Every Version Ever, the Disney Movie Marathon, or iHeart Animation, then it will just release simultaneously on whatever day that episode happens to premiere. I realize that this will make iHeart Movies a bit less consistent or predictable than the others, but to be fair, it's never really been consistent, so this is kind of par for the course. And also, it'll be slightly more consistent than it has been in past years, when I would try to do a release schedule, fail, and then just release new episodes whenever I finish them. But if you want to consistently know when new episodes are coming, you can follow my new Patreon. So far, I've just been using it as a place to upload episodes early, as well as bonus episodes or extended episodes. But if I get enough people on there who want to be kept up to date with what's coming, I will start posting previews and tentative schedules of what I'm working on. Right now I'm still getting familiar with Patreon, but I'm totally open to switching things up for patron requests. Okay, I think that's all my news for now. Stay tuned for a brand new batch of episodes coming to Every Version Ever and the Disney Movie Marathon on the iHeart Movies Podcast Network. Thanks for listening.